stepping out alone in front of 10 to 10,000 people wearing nothing but spandex. Across from you is another human being, equally sized, whose goal is to dominate you physically and mentally for the next 7 minutes. This is wrestling, and it's the most terrifying and exciting thing I've ever done. The source of the fear is knowing that you're in total control, and what happens after the whistle blows depends entirely on your preparation, whether you've cut corners or gone the extra mile. The first time I stepped on a wrestling mat was as a 68-pound sixth grader, and I was completely dominated. The experience was so terrifying and humiliating that I couldn't process what had happened. This experience is universal amongst wrestlers, and it's enough to make most people quit. I started wrestling because my older brother joined the team in high school, and the look on his face when he won made me think he'd won Olympic gold. It took until 8th grade for me to get my first victory, but the experience was magical. I played team sports all my life, but the satisfaction I got from winning a wrestling match was unrivaled. It came from knowing exactly how hard I worked and being alone on the mat. It made me hungry for more, and by the time high school arrived, I set my sights on the pinnacle, a New England championship. But as an 88-pound freshman, most people thought it never would be possible. When I started, I looked at the New England champions and I thought they were these gods, and I wanted to be them, but thought there was no way. Along the way, though, I realized that they too were once beginners, and what got them to where they were was practice. So I started practicing more and more, and was surprised to see that my hard work paid off immediately. My sophomore year, I started dominating wrestlers who only months before had beaten me. All season long, I continued having more success on the mat than I ever dreamt possible, and this positive feedback only inspired me further. After beating the #1 ranked wrestler in the state during the first round of the postseason, in a rematch, my confidence was at an all-time high, and when the state tournament arrived, my dream seemed like it was in sight. Wrestling in the state tournament, I found myself in the semifinals facing off against a wrestler who handed me my worst loss of the season. And I was up 4-1 with 2 minutes to go. I then proceeded to panic and wound up losing 7-4. After the match, I was crushed. I walked straight past my coaches, cursed at my mother, and went under the bleachers to be alone. Confused and angry, I started questioning everything. And for the first time, all of my hard work seemed useless, and I thought about quitting. I couldn't do it, though, and I realized that there was only one way forward. I had to take responsibility for the loss and admit that it happened because I stopped wrestling in the 3rd period. But I realized that this didn't have to be the end, that I could persevere, and if I did, I could get a shot at a rematch. And if I could win that rematch, that would be the most satisfying victory of my career. That spark reignited my passion, and when I walked out of the bleachers, my head up, it was with a newfound commitment. The very next week, I got that rematch and proceeded to lose yet again. This time, I didn't need the bleachers, though, because I had used the lesson to learn from the loss. That lesson about delayed gratification would come to define my wrestling career, where all of my biggest matches were rematches, and all of my most satisfying wins were where I avenged a loss. I lost 28 times in high school and college and won 292 matches. I remember all 28 of those losses vividly, and each one hurt more than the previous because of the extra energy I'd invested. Each one, though, also made every subsequent victory more satisfying because of that extra effort. Ultimately, that's what led me to become a state, New England, and national champion. That's delayed gratification, and it's a powerful perspective. 3 weeks ago, I lost my last match of my college career in the national finals, ending a 70-match win streak dating back to my sophomore year. Thinking about the loss still hurts, and I suspect it will for some time. But I can also look back and smile, knowing that even though my journey didn't end where I wanted, I still traveled further than I ever thought possible. Moreover, I can learn from the loss and know that the extra work I put in will be more than paid back. To me, that's the definition of grit, and it's what enabled me to keep my head up on that podium. Failure is a part of life. Wrestling gave me the opportunity to fail so many times that it stopped being scary. When I let disappointment inspire, fear of failure disappears, and I gain the courage to act. And this has made me into a math maker, able to tap into the power of delayed gratification. This perspective enables you to go anywhere because you're not afraid to fail or get lost along the way. So where will you let it take you? And who will you become?